we're going to security now, and we're going to spend some good time on that area because I think that is a very major issue that anyone who wants to be governor needs to take on. Now, let me begin by asking or bringing this scenario. There is a recent incident in your neighboring Ondo state where attackers a few days ago attacked worshippers at a Catholic church. The federal government had come out to say that that is the handiwork of a terrorist group known as ISWAP. Ondo State is a neighboring state. With that sort of information, should he be elected governor of Ekiti State, what would you do, Dr. Oluyede? 1 minute.
Well, the issue of security, as it is in Nigeria, is a very sensitive issue. But it is a very serious issue. Now we have a set of internationally connected terrorists that have invaded through up to the south. It has to involve the federal government. The federal government has to be serious about what they are doing, honest about it. But at the same time, your security is your security. The people have to be involved in it. They have to be more vigilant, and we will encourage that. We have to have community policing, even if they are not armed, but at least information will be there. We have to change our rules of allowing people to roam about our state and be serious about it. And then I think it is time that we stand up as the leaders of our community. I'm not going to let anybody just say, look, you can do whatever you want to do in Ekiti. There will be laws that will say, this is where you walk, this is when you walk, and you're out of rule if you don't do that. Then I have to encourage the community to be involved with it. And then the federal government has to be honest with what is happening. If we have a terrorist group in Ekiti or in my state, then they have to say, this is what we are going to do about it. Or we have to do something about it ourselves.
Mrs. Hale.
Thank you so much. I sincerely sympathize with the Ondo State government on what happened a few days ago. And I pray that the family receive peace and love. And I will tell you again that that is one of my agendas. The IC agenda under the rebuild, the reclaim, and the rebuild. S is security. And I have 3 major ways of tackling security in Ekiti State. I call the long term, the medium term, and the short term. But let me quickly say something and digress a little from all of it. I think we need to be practical in Ekiti State. What happened yesterday at our flag off is really pathetic, that a police officer who is supposed to be a protector detonated explosive on the people and caused a lot of people. Thank God that there was no loss of life. I think our officers need to be sincere these days. They need to be sincere. They need to know that call to protection is a call to humanitarian service. And they need to do it with all sincerity of heart and sincerity of purpose. On the issue of security, you're going to give me a little bit more time. On this issue of security, I have the long term, the medium term, and the short term. The short term is to engage the youth who are roaming about the streets without job. Re-engage them into the society and make them relevant. Then the medium term is to sensitize our personnel, our police, paramilitary, and military, and equip them with all the necessary gadgets that they need and the support.
Right.
The long term is to ensure that a lot of people get involved, like the Amotekuns. You also equip them and resensitize the society.
All right. Your time is up, madam.
To protect the people.
Mr. Oyebanji, with the story of what happened in Ondo State, and there's a linkage to terrorist organization ISWAP, should he be elected governor? What would you do?
Well, already there's a strategy that is working in Ekiti State now, and it's what we call proactive security strategy. This presupposes that you disrupt their operation at the planning stage. You don't wait for them to strike before you apprehend them through the use of appropriate technology. And Ekiti will bear with me that in the past 3 months, security in the state has improved, because we are now, we've translated to technology to ensure that we disrupt their operations at the planning stage. Because the problem is, once they strike, you have to play catch-up. So you stop them from striking, but if they strike also, we must enable the security architectures to respond fastly. The rate of response presently is unacceptable, so we must make them to respond immediately for those that will not be able to track at the point of planning. Also, the quality of intelligence is very important, and interagency collaboration among the security operatives. We will involve our traditional rulers in intelligence gathering, and we turn this intelligence over to the former security operatives.
Thank you. Mr. Kalawale.
Yeah. Without going far to Ondo State, unfortunately, here in Ekiti, the sacred palaces, the sacred stool of our traditional rulers has been demystified by kidnappers and all that. It's not only sad, but very pathetic, because we left a government in 2018 where we had zero tolerance to kidnapping, to all these vices. I was part of that government, and I want to assure you that we will develop on what we used to do then, that the Miyetti Allah people came to Ekiti to consult Governor Peter Ayodele Fayose, or now he was able to maintain peace in Ekiti. We will develop on that. The miscreants, the kidnappers live within us, so we will involve the local hunters, the vigilantes, the law enforcement agents, and set in place appropriate technology. Get proactive about the whole thing and ensure that we are able to protect free movement of our people from Efalaye to Ikole without the fear of being kidnapped on the way.
Thank you so much. Engineer Oni.
The last time we set up a panic alert system. But unfortunately, after it was tested, it wasn't used. We will begin with that. If it is still intact, uncannibalized, we will ensure that technology aids us to report crime. Of course, we will fly drones across the state for multiple purposes. We will deliver drugs with drones, and those drones will be fitted with cameras, so that if they are overflying any part, the security people will take record of what they can see. We must be ready to confront the security issue head-on, and we are going to do multi-level security and multi-level policing. We will do it.
Thank you so much. Mr. Ajayi.
Security is every man's business. You need everybody involved in detecting security issues before they strike. In countries where security is most observable, like Israel, children as young as age 3 are already sensitized to detecting suspicious behavior and activities and being able to report it. So the intelligence system is very, very important. The surveillance system is going to be important. The infrastructure required to also respond rapidly to security issues are also very important. And then collaboration with neighboring states, collaboration with federal government to make sure Ekiti people are safe, to make sure that Ekiti is a place that is secure for our investors, our tourists, our workers, our residents are going to be very, very key. I've been resident of Dubai, and I've seen how high security is rated there. Therefore, as governor, I'm going to invest heavily into security, because my plans can only be achieved if there's adequate security here. But remember, the security issue that we face in Ekiti is also because, as a state governor who is considered the chief security officer of the state, you often don't have control over the security agents. A police commissioner can easily harass a governor if adequate steps are not taken.
Your time is up, please. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, so we're still going to stay on security. And I'll make reference to what happened a few months ago and recently. A monarch sustained gunshot wound earlier this year after escaping abduction. Another monarch was abducted last year. 4 residents of the community along Ikere Road in Ekiti were abducted at the time too and later released. Some abduction also reportedly occurred in recent weeks. Now, beginning with you, Dr. Oluyede, what would you say is the cause of these kidnappings and how would you solve the problem? 1 minute.
Now, as my brother, Mr. Bisi Kolawole said, every crime committed involves people who live in that area. There's no way kidnappers are going to reside in an area that over the months that people will not know who they are, where they are. So there must be a little bit of collaboration with the locals when that is involved. And what can lead to that? Poverty, lack of work, no incentive from the security apparatus to prosecute. So there are a lot of issues there. What we need to do as a people is to start to respect our own dignity, want to even save our society by deciding that we're not going to be involved in that. And then encourage that the local government will have to increase their surveillance, and that is part of the reasons why the local government autonomy is important. Then the surveillance has to involve technology. Where are they reporting to? Who are they reporting to? Right. But then there's going to be prosecution, right. And that is actually beyond the province of the government.
All right, your time is up. Ms. Ali.
Thank you so much. I will say it from the political point of view, security. I want to plead with the politicians to stop playing politics with people's life. There is an Israeli adage that says that every bullet has an address. I am not saying that there are some people that are not victims of circumstance. But if you see what is happening around us these days, you will see that a lot of them have a lot of political undertones. Please, politicians, play politics with fear of God, knowing fully well that you don't need to take life that you did not create. One of the things that I'm going to do differently is to ensure there is border control, border security. We are going to be equipping our security personnel, both military and paramilitary, the Amotekuns and everyone, to ensure that they are part of the security and giving them what is due for them as at when due. We are having security, what do they call it, a particular money that is supposed to be for security is supposed to go to them. If you don't give them that amendment, how do they perform?
All right.
We are going to be equipping them and ensuring that our borders are controlled. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Oyebanji, the cause of these kidnappings and the fact that they've taken it to some of the sacred places in your state, and what is the solution?
Well, the cause or the causes, they are poverty, unemployment, that is ravaging the country. And as a governor, it's good to be tough on criminality and banditry, but it's better to be tougher on the causes, which is poverty and unemployment. You cannot, although you may not be able to rule out infiltration from neighboring states by criminal elements and criminal tendencies, but you are tougher on the causes by providing jobs, by making sure that people have access to decent living and decent life, and also strengthen our judicial system to respond to criminal issues. If it's possible to have a special court that will dispense with criminal cases swiftly and passes judgments. Because part of the issue is when you apprehend these people also, they spend 2-3 years in court, they are released back into the society, threatening those that arrested them. So these are the issues. So it's good for us to be tougher on the causes of insecurity. And like I said, it's always better for government to be proactive by disrupting their operations and their cartel.
Thank you so much. Mr. Kalawale.
Yeah, as a governor, there is need for one to be proactive. Of course, we know that, like I said earlier, the kidnappers, the bandits are not spirits. They live within us. If we are able to create enough jobs, if we are able to take our youth off the street, it will be the kind of kidnapping we are experiencing today must have been minimized by half. Because the kidnappers these days are so sophisticated that some of them are graduates and they come up to demand for ransom because they are not employed. Usually it's the government of People's Democratic Party that employs in Ekiti, fortunately. But when my brother, when they get there, they will lay them off. Unfortunately, these people will resort into all these forms of criminalities here and there. We will be proactive, we will re-engage the disengaged workers, we will occupy them such that they will forget all this kidnapping of our obas in their various palaces and shooting.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Engineer Oni.
Thank you very much. First, the motive is economy. They kidnap for money. And it is simple. If we have a security system that works, it will reduce. Because right now, the chance of a kidnapper going and succeeding without being busted is very high. We will ensure that there is a vigilante system that works in town and out of town that will give information and also have capacity to respond. We will ensure that the multi-level, which will begin with the vigilantes, all the Amotekуns of this world will be there and end up with the police and the military, will be able to communicate very well and review, carry out review on a quarterly basis, what has been their successes, what are their challenges, and of course...
Thank you so much, Engineer. Thank you. Mr. Ajayi.
Actually, this is a case of poverty fighting back. We've had a situation of corruption fighting back in Nigeria. Poverty is fighting back. And it's also because of failure of leadership. Economic empowerment of our citizens, of our young people, will drastically reduce the incidence of these unfortunate kidnappings. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, there's elements of local residents contributing or compromising the security of our citizens. We need a surveillance system, we need an intelligence system, we need to be able to train our people to be able to detect when they see suspicious activities and be able to report it to a control room and empower the control room to be able to respond rapidly to this. And as it was said earlier, we also need a justice system that deals drastically with these offenders as a way of dealing with issues of deterrence so that the occurrences of these things will drastically reduce.